Hi everybody, and welcome to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. And it is a very empty studio today. Where the fuck is everybody?
Was everybody eaten by zombies again?
Again? I don't know, is it zombie time this time? Is it zombie time already? Is prom season already over? Damn.
It's zombie season.
Oh man, and here I am still in my my spring casuals. Need to dress for zombie weather.
Is that like wearing white after Labor Day?
Should I be concerned that there was a first time people got eaten by zombies that I don't remember?
There was the one time when Cable was here that he wanted to put some secret sauce in the company chili for the chili cook-off, and well, let's just say it ended badly. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, it's a very empty room here today. It's just me, Kat, and Brian today, and so yeah, and there's also really not a whole lot going on in the geek world to really talk about this week. So I guess that's our fault for missing X-Men. But we're gonna put out a show anyway. We're gonna have some fun. We got some Ask Geek questions here, and we got some headlines here that we want to talk about. So this is kind of a bit of an experiment. This is kind of a diet episode. We're gonna see, how this comes across. So yeah, but how rude of me. Of course, I didn't introduce my my two co-workers here. Of course, you all know the Cat, our resident anime goddess.
Hello, everyone.
And Multiverse Brian, our comic book correspondent.
Hello.
So yes, it's gonna be we're just gonna have some fun today. We're just gonna take it light and have some fun. And so we're gonna start with some Ask a Geek questions, and we got some really good ones here. And first one here comes from Phil. And he asks us what we thought of the season finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was. So, spoiler alert, we're going to be discussing spoilers to the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I know I've been following this as faithfully as a hound. What about you guys?
Yes.
Not really.
Then it sucks to be you, because you don't get to avoid the spoilers. And it sucks to be Tom, who has to go in and edit this, and he hasn't watched the show at all. So, bully for him. But, Kat, what did you think? Let's expand the season overall. Kat, what did you think of the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, pretty much the same thing that everybody else has been saying about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It started off kind of weak. It was sort of like Monster of the Day or Mission of the Day. And they kept teasing all of the big questions that you have left about Coulson without ever really revealing anything. And it was sort of like most people stopped watching after 2 episodes, but if you kept going...
Like Tom did.
Especially after the release of Winter Soldier, then you were well rewarded for your patience, because the show got damn good.
Oh god, yes. When I saw Winter Soldier, I was like, oh man, they're gonna incorporate the Hydra plot into this somehow, and they did not disappoint. A friend of mine, who was actually sitting there watching the episode with me on Hulu, when they actually revealed the Hydra connection. He turned to me and said, "You hear that?" And I was like, "No, what is it?" He's like, "That sound you hear? That's Joss Whedon revving the turbo engine."
It's great because I mean obviously with the contents of Winter Soldier there was no way they weren't going to have some effect. So obviously like Winter Soldier is about, oh shit, Hydra's been in S.H.I.E.L.D. all along, and there's lots and lots of double agents, and oh my god, we're so dead. And that sort of obviously is going to carry over where the members of Coulson's team are suddenly like all on their own, and they don't know who they can trust, because it's not like they're, gently affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D. They are S.H.I.E.L.D. So they kind of like run around going, oh god, what the hell do we do? What the hell do we do?
And what I liked most about it was the fact that it became a permanent part of the story. It wasn't like when they did the Thor the Dark World tie-in, where it's just like, oh, we're just here cleaning up the mess. Oh, by the way, this happened. You might want to check it out on DVD and Blu-ray in about 6 months. No, this is something that
wait, that wasn't in the show. I would remember that. That's very blatant product placement.
Well, they are owned by Disney now. It is ABC.
Just bringing up the copy and hit, hey, check your local listings. Ding.
But it's like, it wasn't just like a one-off thing. It became a permanent part of the story and radically changed the dynamic. And holy shit, the reveal about Agent Ward,
Yeah, like I think there was never an expectation that any member of Coulson's team was a member of Hydra. Like when they introduced Bill Paxton and then you found out about Hydra, you sort of went, "Oh, Bill Paxton is so Hydra." But they really were on the fence about it. Like they were very, very keeping it all under wraps for such a long time. But I knew in my heart of hearts that Bill Paxton was a bad guy. But I never imagined that like anybody from Coulson's team could have like been a member of Hydra, and it was so wonderful to see that added into the show. That I felt that was it was very bold move. It wasn't, you know, like a TV show playing it safe by him, you know, being a double or triple agent and he's really, really a good guy. No, it was like, seriously, they had a whole backstory on him just to prove of why he hangs out with douchebag Bill Paxton.
And was I the only one who notices, or did it provide a nice sort of a contrast to Sky's story? Where here's Sky's character, and here's a character who is not really affiliated with Hydra. She's actually been trying to bring down S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. Nobody on the team really trusts her at first, and then she sort of earns the trust. And then here's Agent Ward, who everybody was chill with from the beginning, and he turns out to be Scumbag McTraderpants.
Scumbag McTraderpants. That's really excellent.
I'm really good at coming up with these nicknames, aren't I?
No, it really is a good contrast for Sky, because, again, here's somebody who, everybody trusted Ward because they knew that he was sort of like a machine who was good at doing his job and could be relied on, and everybody was, he's definitely somebody who would get the job done no matter what. And here you have Sky, who's a flake, and nobody trusts her. And then people grow to love her and want to protect her, and like she became part of the family. And for Ward to betray them was like, I mean, people were in shock. Like, which one's Fitz and which one's Simmons? Fitz was like, he couldn't freaking believe it. Like, he spends quite a long time in denial about the whole thing.
Oh man, I wonder what I have to know what happened with Fitz. I need to know he's all right. I will not be able to sleep right until I know that Fitz is okay.
Oh, I know.
But you mentioned that people were calling Sky a flake. I don't think they'll be saying that about her anymore. Not after she played Ward like a fiddle.
No, and it like I'm like totally stuttering. But Sky's character development, I feel, was like kind of minimal. She doesn't change a whole lot in personality, but God, the shit her character goes through is really incredible. And I think by the next season we're gonna see a very different Sky.
Let's see. I really liked how they handled Deathlock as a character in this series, even though I know absolutely nothing about Deathlock from the comics. I'm sure Brian could probably fill in a few blanks there.
Not really. I've never been really interested in Deathlock, to be honest.
But
I know he's an ugly cyborg.
But I was kind of disappointed that he didn't get to go back to be with his son. But hopefully, they'll fix that in the second season. And I do want to say I loved how they sent off Bill Paxton's character.
Oh my God.
That was
so beautiful.
That was the cherry on top of a 6-foot sundae made of pure frozen awesome.
So for those who don't mind a spoiler but don't know what we're talking about, there's this grand moment where they've taken out Bill Paxton, and it's like right at the end, and he's doing this, I'm gonna magically like wake up and come back, and I'm gonna put on this giant suit of armor and become like this crazy ass super soldier, and who's gonna take my revenge immediately while nobody's looking. And then
he starts monologuing. That's important. He starts monologuing. And then Coulson.
And then Coulson happens. It just comes in and blows him up. And it's like...
And it's like it's not even a thing. He's just holding the weapon and he's like, hey guys, I found it. Told you it'd be in here.
He just sort of walks out. Like, nothing to see here.
So yeah, but no. All in all, I really enjoyed Agents of Shield. Cat seemed to enjoy it. Brian needs to catch up, but I will say I've been critical of Joss Whedon in the past, but I'll give him props for this one. He's made me a believer with Agents of Shield. You're still not gonna get me to be a brown coat, but I'll be an Agent of Shield with you.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Okay. All right. Next question here comes from Zach, and this is actually from the Facebook. Our producer decided to pull a surprise experiment and started posting Ask a Geek threads on the Facebook. And he asked a question I really like for all of us. If a favorite author of yours decided to pull an L. Ron Hubbard and turn their fictional work into a religion, who would you follow and why?
Ooh.
I'm scared because I think Stephen King already has. We just haven't realized it yet.
All right, so Brian, let's start with you. Because judging by her reaction, I think Kat is spoiled for choice and is trying to pick a favorite child.
Oh God.
It's really hard because, you know, like I said, I just mentioned Stephen King. He is one of my favorite authors, despite the fact that half his books piss me off. So like I don't really know. I don't think I would follow them because I don't like that idea. Hey Gonzo, I'm gonna pass to you because Brian's an idiot. Pass.
Okay. Let's see. Oh God. What would be a fix if someone were to turn their work into? You know what? I'm gonna take the easy answer for my actual answer and go with if there was an actual Jedi church, I would join that in a New York minute. So yeah, that I would want Jediism to be a religion.
It's a religion somewhere, I think, like officially acknowledged or whatever, but it's not cool because force powers aren't actually real, and that makes everyone sad.
Yeah, unless it gets tax exemption status, it doesn't count, which unfortunately means for now Scientology counts.
Oh man.
So, Kat, what about you?
My first thought went to my favorite group of mangaka, Clamp. And then I thought, well, which work? And then I thought, well, all of their works are all tied together. But I think if I had to choose a religion, and this isn't a religion so much as a god, in one particular Clamp work, I would choose the god as featured in the Magic Knight Rayearth, very specifically the manga, because the god is Makona, if you read the manga. And Makona is basically this rabbit-like ball of fluff that is just some sort of little plot device that spews out whatever they need. And then you find out at the end of the manga, oh no, it's actually the creator of the world, and is totally their god. And that's amazing, because it's a little ball of fluff that goes boo-boo! It's fucking adorable. And that's God. That's crazy.
Actually, I want to change my answer because I've been playing a lot of Skyrim lately. Of course, I would want to follow Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness and Chaos. Who?
Don't you already?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But I mean, he's just this fellow who wears a suit that's purple on one half, orange on the other, and he gives you a stick that you can use against your enemies. That'll either turn them into a fluffy bunny or into a giant fire-breathing dragon. You never know.
It could go either way.
Exactly. If I'm going to follow a deity, I mean, at least let it be one that knows how to have some fun. But it's actually kind of interesting that we got this question. And this is kind of a bit of a personal side, but people kind of, this may surprise people learn, but I'm actually a Christian. And whenever people ask me what I imagine God would look like, I always point to the Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer 40k. Not the rotted, shriveled version on the Golden Throne. I'm talking about the Emperor when he was in his prime, the big, giant badass in the golden power armor with the flaming sword. I was like, that's always how I imagined God would look. And like, if if the afterlife comes and that's how he looks, I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm not in the other place.
I'm pretty sure God's Morgan Freeman. I mean, I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Morgan Freeman. Yeah, I could go with that. Morgan Freeman. Brian, did you come up with an answer, or are you still an idiot?
No, I'm still an idiot, so I got nothing for you on this one. This is actually, This is a very complex question. It's a very good question too. I just can't give a good answer.
Okay. So you have an answer, it's just not a good one.
Well, I don't really have an answer. That's why it's not good. That's kind of what I'm going to tell you here. I don't really have an answer. I'm not sure how many different ways I can say it. I can say it happy. Hey, I don't have an answer. Sad. I don't have an answer. Confused. I don't have an answer?
Okay. All right. All right. Next question is from Frederick. And he asked everyone what game / movie / anime, etc. that had 2 or more genres that do not work together, or that should not work together, but in a weird way work. So he gives an example of Inazuma 11, a soccer / JRPG with Dragon Ball Z style finishing moves, which I've never heard of before. But okay, I guess odd mix of genre things you've seen that have mixed 2 genres together that shouldn't work but do. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go. We were actually talking about this before we started recording. I am convinced that whoever came up with Afterlife with Archie has either lost their mind, or is trying to torch the franchise and run, or has taken some really good speed, because that should not work, and yet strangely it is. It's selling like hotcakes, and I don't understand why this is.
Well, you have to also explain to people who may not know what Afterlife for Archie is the zombie apocalypse with Archie. Walking Dead basically meets Archie and Veronica.
Okay.
And there's
so that's a thing.
And
it is a thing.
And there's
actually not bad. Weirdly enough.
And there's a weird incest subtext between Cheryl Blossom and her brother that we kind of don't like to acknowledge, but it's like it's weird, and it's like it shouldn't work, and yet it is. I don't understand why. I don't know. It's very, very strange, and I don't this isn't the Archie that I grew up with. You know, the Archie that I remember is Betty and Veronica would fight over Archie, and Reggie was a scumbag. Jughead ate cheeseburgers, and every now and then there was a story on the beach, and the girls were all wearing bikinis. That's the Archie that I remember, and I don't know. I look at Afterlife with Archie, and not just Afterlife with Archie, but also Death of Archie and the upcoming Sabrina horror series that they're working on. And I'm just looking at this and thinking, you know, some things aren't meant to grow up with the audience, and I think Archie is one of those things.
If it makes you feel better, the regular Archie series is still going on.
Oh, thank you. That does make me feel better. There's a slice of Riverdale that remains unmolested.
Yeah.
At least not until the very special issue that comes out this October. And I probably just cursed it. But anyway, what are your guys' answers?
There's an Elseworld title I have somewhere in my friggin' collection if I can ever find it again, where it was basically what if the DC heroes took place in the Wild West. I was like, that's dumb. That's never gonna work. And then I read it going, this is actually really well thought out and put together. And because like it was actually a Wonder Woman story. She was the star of the whole thing. But like so they sort of changed a little bit of motif around for a lot of the Western things. Certain characters maybe didn't have the correct superpowers. Like Green Lantern just had a Green Lantern, but then he also had like a steam-powered like weapon backpack that he can use to create things with. I was like, that's clever. Martian Manhunter, still a Martian. Superman was still Superman, but he was keeping a low-key profile because it was the Wild West. So it's something like this seems like it would be really stupid, but then you get to it, it's like, no, this is actually kind of cool and fun. Who knew?
Okay. Kat, what about you?
This is kind of tough. Well, I guess I could go with the Madoka Magica, which is the cross genres of horror and magical girl, which would not normally go together very well. I've actually never seen it before, and I wouldn't have thought that it would have worked, but Madoka Magica is like easily one of the best shows I've ever seen. Very, very dark, very depressing. We call it Madoka Tragica because like by the 3rd episode, like your favorite character is dead and you don't know what to do anymore. So yeah, I'll go with a magical girl and the horror.
You know, I tried watching the Madoka movie with a group of friends, and the artwork just made my head hurt.
If you can get over how weird their eyes are, you can pretty much guarantee, because it's very beautiful, but their eyes are really weird looking.
It's not even like the character designs, it's like the backgrounds, because they do that weird thing and it hurts my head, and I'm just like, oh god, can we go back to the regular world, please? This dreamland is fucking me up here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this whole series would probably be better if you were on acid, because it is a fucking weird show. But the actual TV series, I don't think has as intricate backgrounds. I think it's a little more subdued. They made everything fancier for the movies.
I just like they did that thing, and it's like, I can't really describe it. It's the thing that they do sometimes where like there'll be like a pattern on a character, like for example, there'll be like a pattern on characters' clothing, but when the character moves, the pattern remains stationary. It's just a transparent stencil going over the background, like the Count of Monte Cristo anime did constantly.
Oh, yeah, okay. The series is not going to do you a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I'll say this, like in terms of like things that sort of been mashing together. I'm not sure how historical figures and horror monster trend that's sort of been going on, or historical literature and horror things going on. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. That one seems cool, but also seems very haphazard, if you will. Like, this might work, or it's going to be terrible.
You know, I've had a copy of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies for 3 years, and everyone tells me that I should read it, and yet I've just never been able to. Because I lent it to my sister, and she still hasn't given it fucking back.
It's good.
I've been told, and I would like to read it, but my sister has my copy of the book, and she won't give it back.
I'm waiting for a movie. I really feel like that needs to happen. I thought it was licensed for a movie already.
And
maybe they saw Abraham Lincoln versus vampires and said, you know.
because like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter became a thing because somebody said, you know what would be an awesome Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter? Basically. So they were like, let's make that a thing.
I'm convinced that the only reason that movie got greenlit was because the studio executive lost a bet.
I also feel that whenever like something like that happens, decisions like that in both literature or Hollywood shouldn't be made in the same way I make decisions when I'm drunk. You know what would be great, guys? If Abraham Lincoln fought vampires and then pass out.
And John Wilkes Booth could be a werewolf. And then suddenly Hillary Clinton for no reason at all.
Frankenstein needs to have chiseled abs and fall back down.
Okay. All right. Oh man, that was okay. All right. Next question is from Bima Bacchus, another repeat offender, and he asked why we think they haven't made a sequel to Hulk like they did for Iron Man and Thor.
Different studio. Hulk was originally part of the deal with Universal.
I think he's referring to the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton.
That's what I mean. Let me finish, you bastard. Because that was originally distributed by Universal. When Universal wasn't really impressed with it, they sort of gave the Hulk back, and they just haven't done anything with the Hulk since. That's sort of why there hasn't been a sequel yet.
Wait, Incredible Hulk was Universal? I thought Hulk was Universal.
They were both Universal.
Oh.
I'm the one that works in a media department. I have to know these things.
Well, I'll bow to your...
I don't know why I'm whispering to you.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
But yeah, it's they gave it back when because they didn't like the basically the box office that came with it and sort of the kind of lukewarm reception to it, and then so Marvel's just sort of been sitting on and going, we really don't know what to do now. So we add them to the Avengers, and then hopefully down the line maybe something else will possibly happen. I think they wanted to make a TV show, but I think that fell through.
Well, if you're going to do the Hulk on TV, you have to get Bill Bixby, and well, Bill Bixby's sadly no longer with us.
True that.
But
isn't Mark Ruffalo is signed on for like a lot of appearances as the Hulk, and given their rate of how not quickly. They churn. Well, I mean, they do churn out the films fairly quickly, but you know, it's not like he's making a minor appearance in every single one of them. So you'd think eventually they would have to give him his own movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's just it's like a weird timing thing for them because they apparently they're trying really hard to keep whatever plan they have in place and not deviate from it. So, and you know, you're looking like about 2 movies on average a year. So it could be they could maybe like next year, and they said, all right, now Hulk shows up in Incredible Hulk. They wouldn't probably call it Incredible Hulk 2, but they might just call it Hulk something 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 because they already have a Hulk and there's an Incredible Hulk. So yeah, it's one of those things where like it's gonna happen. We just really don't know when. And maybe some. There are probably a few things now since the Ant-Man movie has gone through a bit of a bump for its pre-production, losing 2 directors.
What's the story behind that?
The story behind that, to best of my knowledge, is that because Edgar Wright has actually been working on Ant-Man since the first Iron Man movie came out.
Wow.
Yes, this has been like a passion project for him. And so, but like they had to deal with whatever plan they sort of had in place. So it sort of got delayed, got rewritten a few times. They delayed production so he can go make World's End. He wanted to get that out of the way because of the deal he made with working title like productions. And so once World's End came out, it was supposed to be gung-ho straight for Ant-Man, to the point of, you know, he showed up at Comic-Con, they showed some test footage, all sorts of good things. The word is, and now this is the word, I don't know if it's actually true or not, is that someone at the studio, at Marvel Studios, asked him to do a quick rewrite because they wanted to have it in continuity with their other films. Edgar said, that makes sense, okay. Did a small little rewrite, I guess probably just adding some lines about, you know, the new Battle of New York and things like that. Sent it back in. Someone at the studio hired 2 other writers to then rewrite that rewrite. They sent it back to Edgar Wright and said, and Edgar looked at it going, this is no longer the film and the vision that I had, so I'm going to step back away from it. And they parted ways. So it's the famous, we've parted ways because of creative differences line, which could be almost anything. So he has officially left the project altogether. Then they had about 3 different directors lined up, and then they picked one, the guy who directed the Anchorman movies, but then he dropped out because he had other projects he had to do. So the film doesn't have a director right now. It has a script that's been rewritten by 2 unknown people at the moment, and they're still trying to find a comedy-style director. They're going a very comedy route with it. So they have to pick one up soon because they're going to start filming because the movie's supposed to come out next year.
Wow.
Damn, that's a story. Okay.
I just realized, since I know all that, I need to go outside more.
We're nerds. What's the sun? We don't go outside.
Well, to me, the sun. Well, to me, the sun is death. Yeah.
Refuse the yellow face. Okay. Let's see. Phil's got another one for us that's probably gonna make us all feel like bad nerds. But he wants to know what we think of Arrow, and are we excited about the idea of the Flash show being set in the same universe?
None of us watch Arrow, do we?
Except for me. But at the same time, also like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've completely fallen behind. But what I'll tell you this, from what I have seen of like the 1.5 seasons that I've actually seen of it, because it's the season ended-ish.
I don't know.
See how close I watch this
You're
show?
the one who watches it, not us. We're over here in Marvel Town. You're over there in DC land.
Not even that. I'm over here just confused. But no, it's an actually pretty alright show for what it is. A lot of people were scared because they thought they were going to Smallville it up, meaning that Green Arrow wasn't going to be Green Arrow until the show ended. But to our surprise, Green Arrow was Green Arrow episode 1. So we're like, oh, hey, that's new.
He was actually born Green Arrow.
He was born Green Arrow, yes. He went to an island and all this stuff. No.
Oliver Queen,
no,
born with a bow in his hand.
Basically, like season 1 was this first year of being Green Arrow, and then like season 2 is following up on like storylines and things like that. And season 3 will probably like so it's like each season sort of like a year in the city and a year with him being Green Arrow. It's not a bad show. It has its bad moments because a lot of superhero shows kind of do. Some things just become just goofy for no apparent reason. It's also on the CW, so you get a lot of heartfelt drama every so often. You kind of sit there going, when is he going to shoot an arrow? But then luckily, like the next scene's like, he's shooting arrows. I feel happy again.
Now, I gotta ask, does this Green Arrow carry the arrows with the little tiny boxing glove at the end when he wants to punch somebody out from a distance?
He has trick arrows, but he hasn't had those yet. He's had like grappling hook arrows. He's had but my favorite one, which is so dumb, was a Wi-Fi router arrow.
Wait, what?
What?
What? No. Before you tell me what it is, I want to take a guess at what this thing is and see if I get it right. So I'm going to guess that it is an arrow that actually serves as a Wi-Fi antenna, and he's got like a little laptop that he runs a cable from the arrow to his laptop. Am I close?
You're close. He doesn't actually run a cable because he uses wireless. But basically, in one of the episodes, he was going after this corrupt business dude, and he infiltrated the office. But all he did was like shoot arrows everywhere and like freak the guy out. And so, towards the end of the episode, the guy's like, I'm losing all this money. Where is this money going? Find it. And there's an arrow behind him with the fucking Wi-Fi like lights on it that shows internet connection, and then goes over to Green Arrow in front of his laptop and distributing his money to people he's wronged. I was like, really?
Damn, that's
you have a Wi-Fi arrow?
that is actually some real modern day Robin Hood shit right there.
Yeah.
Damn, I approve of that. I may have to actually start watching this show.
Now the Flash one's interesting. The only reason it's interesting is that the Flash wasn't the first character that they went for a spin-off. They actually wanted to go with Wonder Woman first.
We all know how that turned out.
Well, no, different. This is actually a different company. Because you had that pilot that didn't get picked up. So when Arrow got picked up, they got a brand new team that came in and made a Wonder Woman show, and the CW said no. So the team went back. Sort of formatted, I guess rewrite or whatever, sent it in again, and CW said no. And after you get rejected by the CW twice, no other network wants to touch you. So they couldn't get it off the ground. So Flash actually, they sort of snuck the Flash in the second season. They snuck in Barry Allen, and they were eventually going to do like a backdoor pilot with him and see if they could get a spin-off out of it. Someone higher up saw this, was like, no, we need to make a real show. So he got like a real pilot and a real show. Actually, it got picked up for a full season already. So it's going to debut sometime in the fall. I don't know when shows debut anymore. But that one's kind of cool because the Flash hasn't been on TV since what, the early 90s. And even cooler, the Flash that played the character, the actor who played the Flash in the early 90s TV show gets a part in the new Flash show. So I like that little connection that they made.
Nice.
The suit, people saw the suit. The suit's a little dark. It's a little kind of dark maroon, not bright red like it usually is. But I have no real problems with it. It looks like something that you would probably see a guy run in, if that makes any sense, and run really fast. It's kind of that trend of live action superhero suits are not like spandex anymore. They're sort of like combat-y and
functional.
It looks like they're built to actually kind of move and do things.
More practical than spandex.
Although
yeah,
can I ask for clarification? Did I hear you right? Did you say that Green Arrow is wearing a red suit now?
No. Flash is going. Green Arrow's wearing green. He's always wearing green.
Oh no, I'm asking like in the comics.
No,
because I know
in
Speedy took over at one point, didn't he? And he used to wear red.
Well, Speedy becomes like Red Arrow, man, okay. Or Arsenal, depending on who you talk to or what comic you read. But yeah, he wears red. Speedy actually is in the Green Arrow show.
Did they
Roy?
Did they do the drug storyline? Please say they did the drug storyline.
They're probably building to it, because that's something you just don't want to go. By the way, he's a drug addict. This isn't Breaking Bad. You can't just do that.
But anyway, you were saying about Flash.
No, it got picked up. It looks really good. This is cool because it's superpowers and things like that, and the Flash running animation looks really, really, really good. Like, that was like the big sort of surprise, and the character who plays him, I forget the actor's name, is doing a fantastic job. Like the first time you see him in like one of the promos, he catches Green Arrow's like arrow. I was like, oh my god, this is so awesome, and then just runs off.
Nice. That actually does sound really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Well, maybe in the off season I'll pick up Arrow. Is Arrow on Hulu?
It's on Netflix. It's on my queue.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay. All right. Cool. Then I.
I'm not like it's a really weird, like, I'm not sure if a lot of people will like the show because Arrow is a little bit dark at times. So that's just me saying stuff.
It's got John Barrowman in it. It has the only prerequisite that I need in order to watch a show.
He's a great character. I'll admit that.
Okay. All right. Actually, it's kind of interesting that you were talking about how the show's kind of darker than the normal trend. Because we got one here from I'm hoping I pronounced this right. The name is Arjal, and they ask, "Is the trend of deconstructions finally gone?" And no.
What does that mean?
A deconstruction, basically, it's how can I put this? It's basically the best example I can come up with of a deconstruction is basically when Batman went all dark and broody in Dark Knight Returns, because prior to that, he was kind of, he was kind of lighthearted and cheerful, and Frank Miller comes along and goes, no, here's how Batman would act in the real world.
The idea is of deconstruction is always is breaking down to real sort of elements of the characters. So you sit there instead of like just being, like you said, being goofy or weird. He's dark, he's brooding. He kind of has a suicidal thoughts and tendencies, but he has to make it really big because he also has a huge ego. Like, you're breaking it down to what you think is the character's like real reasons and responses.
And there's actual like consequences for his battles. So
and like deconstructions, I think work, but there are a lot of them now. Like Watchmen definitely is the biggest known deconstruction of superheroes in general. And that sort of started this massive trend that everyone has to sort of be deconstructed, or you have to add some sort of real element to the character to make them believable. And it has gone overboard, and the problem is it's not really stopping, because the more overboard it seems to get, people seem just sort of grasp, somehow, for some unknown reason, will grasp onto them and stay with them. It's why Batman's so popular as he is now today, as opposed to he was about 20 years ago.
The easiest way I can explain it, compare Superman Returns to Man of Steel. Man of Steel is the deconstruction of the two.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Superman Returns, it still has kind of that fairy tale quality to it, whereas Man of Steel is like, okay, here's what might happen if Superman actually existed in the real world.
If him and Zod fought, the city would be destroyed. Like, yeah. So so unfortunately the trend is not gone. It's still around. It may never officially go away, because maybe one company may say, all right, we're done with that, and then another company would say, no, we're going to do that. And since there's so many different companies running like their own universes, it just never seems to stop.
Yeah. So
bringing the room down a level.
I'm not going to say that they could stand to go away, but I think that we need to kind of ease up on them a little bit. So, but that's just my opinion here. Okay. Any other really good questions here? Well, it's because we haven't really had anything to really get to, so we've been kind of rambling on the questions. So, which I think has worked. So, okay, but yeah, but that's we'll go ahead and take a break on the Ask Geek questions there for a bit. As always, you can send them to us at billysmith@channelawesome.com through the email, or you can drop them in the That Guy with the Glasses forum thread, or if you're following us on Facebook, producer Tom has put up a thread for Facebook posts that you can go and post your questions on there, assuming you can find it among the 8 billion things that he's posted since then. Seriously. That's actually one of the questions we got. Why is producer Tom posting a bajillion things on the Facebook? Because he doesn't know when to quit. Enough is not a word in his vocabulary.
If it gets us noticed.
Oh, yeah, true. So, but it's like, the thing is, like I have our Facebook linked to my cell phone, and it goes off anytime someone posts the Facebook, and it's been going off like a car alarm all weekend. What?
Yeah, that's a personal problem.
What kind of noise was that, Kat? Was that a harumph of disapproval?
Make a harumph of amusement.
Okay, but anyway, so we'll move on to the next portion of our diet show, which I guess we're going to talk about some of the big headlines that have been coming out in the last week or so. And Brian, I'm putting you in the hot seat first. I want to hear about this Fantastic Four story.
All right. Sit back, children, as I tell you a story of what I've been following mostly this whole weekend. This actually technically started several weeks ago at the Retail Summit in Las Vegas. The big publishers got together with a lot of the retailers and Diamond, the distributor, and we're just talking about upcoming things. One of the things that Marvel wanted to show off is that they're going to be eventually celebrating their 75th anniversary of a company. So they decided to put together a Marvel 75 Years magazine, anniversary magazine. On the cover, and this is where some people sort of notice it, on the cover, someone pointed out that there's a lot of characters there, but there's also a lot of characters missing. Namely, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. They were nowhere to be seen on the official Marvel 75th year anniversary cover. And a lot of people said, that seems very odd to leave out those two franchises, because everyone knows that Fantastic Four and Marvel go 1-1. They didn't even put Wolverine anywhere on the cover. We were so shocked.
Which I'm pretty sure is the first sign of the coming apocalypse, that Wolverine is not on the cover of a Marvel publication.
Not on the cover of something. So there was a couple of people asked the question going, well, that seems very odd. Maybe it was just an oversight. It's a big book. So maybe they just ran out of space because they wanted to make sure to get like the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie characters on there and things like that. So, website that I go to, Bleeding Cool, which is a comic book news / gossip site. I've referenced them a couple times in my headlines. The guy who runs it, Rich Johnson, since I've said his name, he will now listen to this show. That's how that works. He's very omnipotent like that. He found out through some Marvel contacts that Marvel was thinking about canceling Fantastic Four and Ultimate Fantastic Four to sort of snub their nose at 20th Century Fox, basically not giving them extra promotion for the new movie that's going to be coming out. I don't know if it's next year or the year after, the new Fantastic Four reboot. Now, this is where the story, you can kind of, when I first saw this, the story to me is like, this doesn't sound right. Mainly because the Ultimate Fantastic Four book actually only features Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. Like, that's the only like original Fantastic Four member that's in there. So for them to say they're going to cancel these two Fantastic Four books to not give any added press to the movie doesn't make a lot of sense. It also doesn't make a lot of sense because they just relaunched the Fantastic Four book this year. I think it's on issue 5. So why would they cancel? Why would they, restart a whole series just to cancel it because they are having a tiff with 20th Century Fox? And it also doesn't make any sense because 20th Century Fox also has the X-Men franchise, but no one was talking about canceling the X-Men books to sort of not give them any added press, which again doesn't make any sense because right before Days of Future Past the movie came out, Marvel re-released Days of Future Past the graphic novel. So you can see we're having a lot of like conflicting reports. So over the weekend, a lot of people were sort of asking, is this true? Is this not? We don't really know. Well, things got a little stranger. I want to say maybe it was a Friday or so, Bleeding Cool somehow got their hands on a actual real artist direction about promo material, in which it says you are not allowed to use any Fantastic Four members or side characters in any of the art. Like, and they had the whole list of them. Just all the family members, Doctor Doom, Skrulls, the Watcher. Absolutely nothing is to be used in any future promotional art. That sort of sent up a red flag with a lot of people, that there might be some truth behind this story. Since then, one of the guys at Marvel, Tom Bevrut, who actually used to edit the Fantastic Four books before it was relaunched this year, has come out saying many times over that this is not really true. This is just gossip. He's doing they're doing this for clicks to get through with. So there's a lot of denial going on, a lot of no comment from Marvel. But we have sort of now this, proof that they at least they're maybe not canceling the books, but they might not promote anything from Fantastic Four for a while. Like, there's no set determination for that. They might cancel Ultimate Fantastic Four, but that's because the Ultimate Fantastic Four and basically all the Ultimate books outside of Miles Morales' Spider-Man book are just not selling very well and not very good. Not terrible, but they're just not very good. So if they get canceled, it's because of that, not because they're snubbing their nose at Fox. But it's sort of a very strange thing. They used to have a good relationship with each other. Somewhere along the line, that's definitely changed between Marvel and 20th Century, and so we're now in the period of, okay, this is what they're doing. They're obviously not going to promote these characters anymore. Will they in fact cancel the books? We don't really know. They might, but they probably won't do it right away. Some people are saying. Some people are saying, no, that's stupid. That's not going to give them any more promotion or any more press for the movie when it comes out. So it's this very weird sort of... This is not normal. Hey, it's comics industry, everybody. This is sort of strange. This is comics versus Hollywood, which is still a new thing. We're not used to that.
What kind of frightens me I actually read an article about this earlier today, where someone approached one of the heads of Marvel, I can't remember his name, and asked him to comment on this, and the guy said that they weren't canceling the book, but he also added that, people who think that this is happening, they don't seem to realize that that's not how a business is run. And that's one of the first things kind of raised my eyebrows, that if Marvel actually did cancel the books, they'd only be hurting themselves.
That sounds like a Tom Bevrut answer, so that might have been him.
There's also another sort of disturbing implication that was raised by that article, that if Marvel actually did cancel the book to snub Marvel, then that would raise a disturbing precedent and basically send out a message that the comics companies have to and will bow to the whims and desires of Hollywood, and that would pretty much be a political bullet in the head for the comics industry.
There is that implications, and it doesn't make... Here's the thing. What doesn't make any sense to me is that they're willing to do this to the Fantastic Four, but they're not going to do it for the X-Men. Maybe that's because there's 7 different X books right now, and there's only one Fantastic Four book. So maybe they feel like, okay, we can cancel a Fantastic Four book and we'll save some... we may actually save some money in publications, and then we'll just sprinkle around the Fantastic Four characters to our other books. And this kind of goes back. This also kind of connects with what they're trying to do with the Inhumans, and in their series Inhuman and their little mini event Inhumanity, which has been completely derailed right before it even began. What they wanted to do with that book and those characters is they wanted to make them the New Mutants. They wanted to introduce them and sort of spread them out. People got familiar with them, so then Marvel Studios can use them as their version of mutants. But since that series has been derailed because Matt Fraction was supposed to write it, he actually walked off the book before it debuted. They got a new writer, so they had to rewrite it. But now the issues have been delayed by months because as much as I love Joe Mad, the artist, he takes forever to do stuff because he has to make sure everyone has giant shoulders and jaws.
Is that like
I love you, Joe.
Is that like in his contract or something?
I think
Or
it's
is that just like his trade field? Leafield has his pouches and bad anatomy. Mad has his big shoulders and jaws.
He has his big shoulders, also big fists. That's sort of, and so it's this weird. Since, like I said, comic industry meeting Hollywood is still really new. Despite the fact of the success of the Marvel Studios, there's still some unknown like potholes that they're now sort of encountering. So it's like, well, but we can't have mutants, but we can have these characters, so we're going to do this. But if it doesn't work in the comics, does that mean they won't do it in the movies, or they'll just do it in the movies anyway? You know, so you're playing two different games, and I feel like if not played carefully, will end up hurting you. Like, yeah, canceling a Fantastic Four book. Marvel canceling a Fantastic Four book, it sounds almost insane. Like, even saying that out loud sounds insane. I mean, this is one of the first characters created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. You know, how can you not have them? They're called Marvel's first family for a reason.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's gonna happen. I think Ultimate Fantastic Four will be canceled before anything else, just because unfortunately the sales are terrible. But them canceling out a Fantastic Four book just to give a middle finger to a studio, that I think that leads to more problems than solutions.
Okay, Kat, any thoughts of yours on this topic?
It just makes me think, oh god, this is why I don't read American comics.
Oh, like nothing like this has ever happened in the anime world.
No, but this is like way too complex for me.
And that could just be me, because I'm trying to give everyone the singlest detail, and I might just be making more people confused. Sorry.
Because that's the trouble of doing that kind of long explanation on a radio show. You kind of need a flow chart to keep track of everything.
Now, everyone, if you turn to page 6, where I start discussing the implications of the Fang punching the wall.
and what it says about Darwinism in modern society. Well, I got a story here. This is something that I discovered this morning. Fair warning, it's from Kotaku, that den of iniquity that loves to report on all of the dumbest fucking shit in the world.
Before you get on, I love the fact that people despise Kotaku so much, but we still go there. Like, we can't help ourselves.
Well, see, for me, it's like it's a train wreck, you know? It's like, I don't want to see it, I have to. No, you know what? Going to Kotaku for me is like reading the funny pages in the newspaper. I just go to see if there's something there that will make me laugh. But this report kind of made me facepalm. For those of you who've been living under a rock, Watch Dogs came out last week. And it's a big hacker simulator set in and around Chicago. One of the features of the game is this thing called the Profiler, which if you examine an NPC, you know, it'll tell you a little bit about that NPC. You know, kind of, you know, what's his name, what's his job, some other little random factoid about him. And Kotaku, you know, apparently some players are using this Profiler to hunt down minority NPCs. To which my first reaction to this is, okay, this isn't exactly new. People have been doing this kind of shit since Grand Theft Auto in the mid-90s. This isn't exactly a new thing. And it just, I don't know, the whole report strikes me as sort of media sensationalism. Like, oh, here's something else that gamers are doing that makes the whole community look terrible. And I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on this one, because on the one hand, yeah, someone using a video game to specifically hunt down characters that belong to a minority, any minority, yeah, that's a little disturbing when you sit down and really look at it. But on the other hand, I kind of have to ask the question: is this the kind of thing that really needs to be sat down and really looked at closely? I mean, this is someone, you know, playing a stupid video game. It's not like, you know, they're, I don't know, it's not like they're going down Harlem on you know, gunslinging rampages.
Well, here's the thing. No, I haven't played Watch Dogs, but I've seen some videos. But I do have Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm gonna sort of like compare the two the best that I can. The major difference between Watch Dogs and Grand Theft Auto 5 is that in Watch Dogs, as you're sort of walking around the city, with your little hacking phone device or whatever, and you see other people, like computers and phones and things like that, it gives not only their name, but also sort of like almost personality traits or certain things about them or who they're talking to. So they're almost actually, they're almost more real people, if I can say it like that. In Grand Theft Auto 5, I can walk out my door of my apartment online, just start, you know, beating people up and shooting people around because they're no-namers. They're just walking NPCs. They have no names, no personalities. They're there basically to sort of get in my way. So whereas in Watch Dogs, like, it disturbs me a little bit to hear that sort of news, because now these people are not just they're not just nameless, faceless NPCs. They almost have semi-lives, you know? And to have someone sit there going, oh, hi, nice person. Oh, I see that you like the arts. Oh, but too bad, I don't like you. You're dead. Like that sort of... And I'll also tell you this. I play Grand Theft Auto Online wrong. I play it completely and utterly wrong. The reason I play it wrong is because I'm not an asshole. To you people who play Grand Theft Auto Online and think it's hilarious that when a guy's standing in the pause menu and you come up and blow him up, you're an asshole.
That ain't exactly new behavior either.
No, it's not new behavior, but so at the same time, if I would play Watch Dogs, I might actually pay way more attention to the NPCs, because now I know something about them. Like if I'm going around, let's say I'm going around, I'm hacking, and I'm like, all right, let's see what this guy. Oh no, you just lost your job. Oh man, I'm sorry, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you alone for a while.
Yeah, the article did bring that up, and that's something that I was happy to see, that it at least looked at the other side of it too, because something that I've noticed, at least in a lot of the things I've read about moral choice systems, is that most players, when given that kind of spur of the moment choice, they tend to gravitate towards, you know, the quote-unquote right, you know, the moral right, however the game presents it. So, I mean, yeah, you get a couple of quote-unquote assholes who always, you know, do the heel thing. I guess my question is this? I guess it just brings out to, like, we're talking about people playing a video game. I mean, is this really something that needs to be, I guess, reported on? It's like I said, it's people playing games, how they play the games. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit disturbing in what they're doing. I mean, it might speak to some hitherto unknown internal damage that probably needs to be addressed. A couple of the people doing this probably need to see a counselor at some point. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't know. It strikes me almost as making a mountain out of a molehill, and I don't really know how any other way to put that. Now, if this is something like, you know, because as far as I know, I'm in full disclosure, I've not played Watch Dogs, so as far as I know, this is all in the single player that people are doing this. There's not, as far as I know, this isn't people going online and doing this. And maybe I guess that's kind of why I'm kind of raising my eyebrow at this, is that you know, this is just something somebody's doing in a single player game. This isn't like somebody's going out and actually like cyberbullying somebody. So I don't know. Anybody, either of you got a counterpoint to that?
My counterpoint is that if the article is just saying, like, this is what's sort of happening, and then and then you said they sort of explained that there's actually two sides of the story. I would much rather have a story sort of like that going, yes, unfortunately, people can be terrible, and in this virtual world, these people are being absolutely terrible. But at the same time, you have these really good people trying to do the good thing, even though it's a virtual world. If the article was just the usual sensational, video games are bad because look what's happening here, then I'm a little bit more upset, because you're only telling half the story. If you tell the full story, you get a better sense of what's going on. You think things like this I think need to be sort of told and reported on. But in the same sense, like, as long as it's the whole situation, and we're still missing, you know, why these people are doing it. Like, no one asked them why, because you might just turn out like, I'm doing it for the lulz, people. Like, it's funny, or maybe I'm doing it so I can get on Kotaku because they're dumb and they'll follow this story. you never really know. Or they could just be terrible people. Unfortunately, terrible gamers do exist. And this is just sort of a small example, but at the same time, some really nice gamers exist. Like me.
unless someone blows you up while you're away from keyboard.
Oh yeah, if you blow me up while I'm not paying attention, I will hunt down your car and blow it up. I don't care if the game says I'm a bad sport. And it does. It goes, hey, you blew up someone's personal vehicle. That's a bad sport. I'm like, dick, he shot me with a rocket launcher. Don't tell me how to feel, game.
Do as you say, not as you do, huh, Brian?
Absolutely. Don't just do it. Do what I say. Don't follow my example sometimes.
Kat, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, we sort of derailed from when I could have interjected my thoughts.
Sorry.
It's okay. My thoughts on this whole thing is that just because nobody's getting hurt doesn't mean that there aren't consequences. The whole idea of, I don't care if it's been around for a while, it's still racism, even if it's just for the lulz. You know, this is acting out on your racist impulses without any kind of consequence. So you're going around maybe feeding some fetish or, you know, like fulfilling some urge, even if it's just a joke to you, that's inherent somewhere. It's somewhere in deep down, this is something that you want to do, even if you just think it's funny. And you're doing it with no consequences. And this is video games, so obviously you're always doing crazy shit with no real consequences, but I don't know, it just seems like this isn't something that we should go ballistic on or anything, but it is kind of, if nothing else, it's disturbing to me, because I don't play video games, so how do I know that this stuff goes on all the time? So if I'm not somebody who knows about this stuff, it just says, wow, people are really fucked up, and they're getting to take out their fuck-uppedness in a way that kind of makes me not want to be around that kind of people, because that's horrible. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. So
it definitely, like, if you don't know gamers and know that that's just the way gamers are, and why is that just the way gamers are, like, I don't know.
If you can answer that question, then you understand a great deal more about the universe than even the wisest man. If I may quote Douglas Adams out of context. But I think another thing that really bugs me, this comes on the heels of that Fox News report that I think it was Bill O'Reilly did about, like, there's like, oh, Watch Dogs is teaching people how to hack into ATMs. I'm just like, fuck off.
Oh, please.
Just fuck off.
By what, pushing X? Man, if it was that easy, we would all be able to do it.
I think when all of your promotions that we have at Best Buy for Watch Dogs all say, hack the city, you kind of know that it's not even remotely realistic.
Yeah.
I gotta hack the core.
I can tell you, as someone who's taking hacking classes as a cybersecurity major, none of the shit they have you do in that game is possible.
Now that stuff upsets me, because that's obviously sensationalism. That's obviously never really researched it, never really looked into it. Just trying to make a headline to make a headline. Watch my show. I need it. Like, that's the stuff that sort of pisses me off. The stuff talking about Watch Dogs, at least on Kotaku, that is stuff I do think needs to be always on the table and sort of open to discussion. Just to realize, even just the sort of profile going, this shit's kind of bad. You know, can we figure out a way of stocking it? Where is it coming from? Can we, curve it? Whatever.
Do we even need to?
Is more.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's more important than some guy going, "Oh no, people are going to hack my phone." Like that. I don't even know what's up with my voice today.
I don't know. You kind of went old man Herbert there for a moment there.
A little bit, but at the same time, it's that Like, sensationalism's bad. Discussion, good.
Well, here...
Too long, didn't read.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Another headline, and this is one I'm really excited about because it harkens back to my childhood. LeVar Burton's Reading Rainbow Kickstarter.
Yay.
Ooh, that's actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, that was, like... Reading Rainbow is one of those shows that, like... When I found out that it was canceled, I felt like an odd mix of sadness, surprise, and confusion. Because, like, they canceled Reading Rainbow! Wait... Reading Rainbow is still running? Wait, they canceled Reading Rainbow? Why? I think we all grew up, at least the three of us, watching Reading Rainbow, and
not so much me.
You know, that's right, because you were raised in Japan.
I was not raised in Japan, but I lived in a lot of different countries that didn't have Reading Rainbow.
Oh God, that you deprived thing, you. Reading Rainbow was the shit.
One of the major cornerstones of the early days of PBS, Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers.
Starring Geordie LaForge, which I did not make that connection until I was like 12.
I didn't make that connection for a lot longer either. But do you know that Jodie used to sneak in Reading Rainbow stuff on Star Trek?
Really?
Really?
That's amazing.
There is a scene, I shit you not, I don't know the episode, but I saw a scene where some person just offhandedly he was working with in the engineering bay was like, man, I don't really like to read. He's like, hey man, reading books is essential. It's an important part of your life. I'm going, did you just Reading Rainbow Star Trek?
Well, you know, they actually did a little bit of cross promotion there because there was an episode of Reading Rainbow where he took the audience on a quote unquote field trip to the set of Star Trek: The Next Generation and showed them how the show was made. It was like a little mini making of episode. But no, for those who don't know, LeVar Burton, who pretty much ran the show for Reading Rainbow, started a Kickstarter a short while ago to try and bring the show back in some kind of digital format. And within like 24 hours, it already hit its goal of $1 million. Which,
that's insane.
Yeah. And it's like, and here's the part that really warms my heart about this, is that, like, you know, when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, well, he called up George Takei and, you know, got him to promote it on his Facebook page because George Takei is internet Jesus. But no, and then I went and looked on Facebook, and, like, George Takei was the only person I saw who wasn't promoting the hell out of this Kickstarter. Like, everyone I knew was passing this one around.
George Takei probably personally funded it.
That's how I got the million so quick.
But it's like it really makes me happy to see this show coming back, because I think especially in this day and age where we're all so technologically obsessed that we're kind of neglecting some of the basic fundamentals of human existence, that Reading Rainbow is going to be coming back and opening minds to to reading and stirring imaginations like it did for me when I was a child.
And not only that, this is not just like, hey, I want to really, bring back a TV show I really liked. This is, I want to bring back a show that's going to help teach the newer generation how wonderful reading and books are. How, because it's not just bring back the show, they're going to bring back the show. They're going to build specialized classroom versions of the show. They're going to have it delivered free to schools like across the nation.
And I'm actually, as we're talking about this, someone sent me a link. If the funding hits $5 million, LeVar Burton wants to bring Reading Rainbow to Android, mobile phones, and even gaming consoles. I could get Reading Rainbow on my Xbox 360. How fucking cool is that?
It's very important to get Reading Rainbow everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like whoever maybe doesn't have this, he can have it on this. It's spreading out this great message that reading is fundamental. And actually, it was right now. Do you know where it is at right now?
Where is it?
It is at $3,400,000.
Oh man!
It has 28 days to go to hit that $5 million reward goal they gave themselves.
I guarantee.
And actually, looking at it right now, it's still going up.
I guarantee you that if you put Reading Rainbow on PS3 and Xbox 360, child literacy rates in America would jump by 15% just because of that. Guarantee it.
It really needs to be on like the Apple OSs, because there is hardly a child nowadays who doesn't at least have an iPod Touch. People, you know, parents and stuff go out of their way to buy their kids, and it's getting younger and younger every year to get them some sort of device. And because Apple has
more money than Jesus.
They have the most easily accessible phone that isn't a phone, and it's the iPod Touch, where you can do just about everything a phone can do. And kids always want to take their mom's phones and stuff. So parents just buy their kids these incredibly expensive devices to prevent the kid from breaking their own even more expensive device. So if you could put something like that onto, like, the iPod Touch, for example, you would have something educational for your kids to be playing instead of playing
Angry Birds?
Angry Birds or some stupid game, you know? And that would be better because, you know, there's a lot of educational stuff out there already, but to, like, put a name to it, to put the, I almost want to say the prestige, but, you know, the well-known name of Reading Rainbow onto an app would really do some good. Because then parents aren't going, is this okay for my kid or not? They'll know it's okay because everybody knows the Reading Rainbow.
I mean, it's just the point where I know kids who didn't grow up watching Reading Rainbow, never saw an episode in their life, but they know they can sing the theme song. It's become like genetic memory now.
Yeah, I know the theme song, but I've never seen an episode before.
Take a look, it's in a book, a Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
But, like, no, like, it just, I don't know, this is something I can really get behind. And I can tell you, me and Brian were actually discussing this before we started recording. You can actually go on Amazon Video and get digital downloads of, like, the first season of Reading Rainbow.
So yeah, it's sort of a start if you think about it. And I know for an absolute fact that they're working on to get it on an Android and also on iOS app together for this. For both iPads and like iPhones and stuff like that. You know, like LeVar Burton has obviously covered every single base he wants to cover to get this to be as successful as it possibly could be.
Because think of how many kids like really don't enjoy reading, and I can't even fathom that because that's all I did when I was a kid. All I did in my free time was read. And we've got kids nowadays who can barely read, and there are kids out there with reasons why they have dyslexia or they have like ADHD or something that prevents them from being able to really sit down and crack open a book. But there are kids out there who don't like to read because they didn't do it a lot when they were kids, so they never, you know, got used to sitting down and, you know, letting their imagination take over because they were always glued to, you know, the Nintendo or to the TV or something. And now we can take educational material, something well known like the Reading Rainbow, and put it onto their gaming console and put it onto their phones and stuff, and that's really big.
And you know, it's good that you mentioned like the kids with, like, dyslexia and the other learning disabilities. One of the things I think is so great about this modern age and the things we can do with technology now is we have so many different workarounds to make this material, to make reading accessible to these children. Because like I remember when I was a kid, when I was in school, you know, in the 90s, if you were dyslexic, you were pretty much fucked. Nobody knew how to deal with you. Nobody knew how to make things work for you. Now, I mean, we've got, you know, like my cousin who has very severe dyslexia. You know, his literacy score, his reading comprehension level was like in the toilet for the longest time until my mother for Christmas a couple years ago bought him, I can't remember if it was a Nook or a Kindle Fire or what, but it was one of those digital reading devices, but it had a program in it where it would actually read the book to you, like as you were reading the words on the page. And once he got that, I mean, his reading scores shot up through the roof. I mean, he was like 15 years old, and he's reading on a college level.
Nice. I think that was the Nook.
Yeah, I think it was the Nook. Yeah, I think it was the Nook. I don't think it was the Kindle. Which do you think that they'll put that in the theme song? Take a look. It's in a Nook.
That would be amazing. Except there's like no support left for Nook, and they're not going to make them anymore.
Oh,
But that would be amazing.
That's sadness. So, but I'm really happy to see this coming back. And if PBS actually picks this up and starts showing it on television again, then I will consider all things forgiven for that awful Mr. Rogers spinoff about Daniel the fucking Lion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It was a couple years ago. They came up. You remember? Of course, everyone remembers this. Even the people who never watched the show. Do you remember the puppet segments that the Land of Make Believe, and little Daniel the Lion? Well, they made a hand of Bible. I'm not making this up. A CGI cartoon about Daniel the Lion, spun off from those segments of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And the thing is, if you go back and you read about why Mr. Rogers got into television in the first place, was because he hated it. So he hated, the slapstick. He hated the cartoons. I just read this announcement and I was like, oh my god, he's spinning in his grave so fast he's drilled off into another continent. People in China are going, why is Mr. Rogers burrowing up from the ground? Also, why do I sound Russian? I live in China. I don't know why I have Russian accent. Maybe I've been hitting vodka too hard.
Oh my god.
Maybe we should stop voices. We're terrible. Well, not me. I'm awesome, but you're terrible.
Yeah, actually, that might just be you.
Hey, whatever gets the laughs.
But so yeah, this is something to definitely look forward to, and I'm glad it's a moment of brightness in humanity. That's what it was. It was. Because LeVar Burton says, I want to do this to help kids, and we're all like, shit, yeah, we got to help the kids.
Think of the children.
Yeah.
Geordie LaForge wants to help the children. We are all behind this.
Yeah, it was just that's the bright moment of the year for me. It's like the year could be shit. But hey, remember when we backed Reading Rainbow in a day? Hell yeah.
You're right. The world isn't so bad after all.
Some faith in humanity restored, and we now all have the right to buy Freddie Mercury jackets.
No, we don't.
All right, but yeah, those are the big headlines, and yeah, that's about all that there is to really talk about this week. It's been kind of a light week. We're hoping next week we'll have a full boat and actually a full show. But yeah, this is sort of our experimental Nerd to the Third Light, our diet show, if you will. Kind of see just kind of have some fun, taking things light, and having some fun little discussions here. So I think we've had fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and so that's about it for this week of Nerd of the Third Power, and I'm not going to announce what we're talking about next week, because every time we do, something happens, so we just curse it, so we're not making announcements anymore. We'll just see what happens. So yeah, we'll see you next week for Nerd of the Third Power. Thank you as always for tuning in. I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
I'm Brian.
All right, we'll see you next week. Taka, play us out.